The other day, after I published my piece on pattern interrupts, my friend Cameron, companion in composting, reached out and said, yeah, that's great and stuff, but what does that have to do with real life? And I realized, to me, I thought it was kind of obvious what it had to do with real life, even though I was using an example in running, and that maybe sometimes I'm a bit vague or esoteric. So I thought I'd ground it in how I've been using this concept of pattern interrupting in real life, in real time, and offer an example. So I am, for context, walking to the subway on my way to a chiropractor appointment and thinking about a whole bunch of stuff. My mind is racing a little bit on a lot of things I'm tackling, and I'm realizing that I'm using the pattern interrupt that I've developed to deal with this challenge. So let me back up a step. I'm using pattern interrupts in places where I find I have a habit loop that's not helping me, a behavior that is taking energy from where I'd like to put it and putting it into a bottomless pit of worry, obsessive thinking, things that don't serve the cause. And backing up even further, what's the cause again? So I'm a firm believer in, as much as I can, holding a purpose or a vision and using that as my North Star. And so I talk a lot about an economy that works in service of life, industrial healing, elements such as that. And I think of that as my higher purpose, what I'm generally working on at any given moment. And, but this just in, my landlady's about to walk past, speaking of racing thoughts. Always nice to bump into a familiar face. Although one of the racing thoughts I could be working on is, am I moving upstairs next month? But that's another story. Anyways, higher purpose, always working towards one. And that can feel a little bit, or a lot, impossible, uncharted, confusing, overwhelming, to-do list, never ending, bursting at the seams. And that doesn't feel very good. It doesn't really help me. So I'm looking at what can I do to keep going, feel good about it, and in the moment, do the next right thing, if you will. I think I'm paraphrasing Frozen 2 there. That's another story. So how do I do that? So this is for you, Compost Cameron, dear faraway friend, and anybody else who might find it helpful to experience a pattern interrupt in real time. So the pattern I'm interrupting is racing thoughts about endless to-dos that I'm not in a position to do right now. Why? Because I'm walking to the subway right now to go to a chiropractor's appointment, and there's only so many things I can do while walking. So the way I will interrupt that is I will notice that I'm doing that. I'm doing that racing thought thing again. And then I will offer myself an alternative that is a very different thought pattern with a very different focus. In this case, it's a conversation with my feet. So when I have that racing thought pattern, I notice it, and then I switch gears, and I have a conversation with my feet. I might have it out loud, which I will right now. Usually it's just in my mind, but it kind of depends. So what do I mean by a conversation with my feet? I realize it's rather windy here, but so be it. Okay, so feet. What are you two up to right now? How are you feeling? What's new? What's going on? Okay, you're in boots. Yep, those black boots that I got on a recent trip to Toronto. Love these boots. Yeah, you're a little tender from the run this morning. I got you, but you're not hurting. We had a nice kind of abrasive scrub in the shower. Yeah, that felt good. What's going on with the toes? Talk to me about the toes. The right toes, I feel them kind of splay a little bit with each stride. What about the left? What's going on with the left? Yeah, they're there. They splay too. Yeah, heel, ball of foot, toes, heel, ball of foot, toes. There's kind of a rhythm to the walking and to the way the foot falls the way my right foot falls, then my left foot falls. And they keep me upright. They keep me moving forward. Thank you, feet. I may be crossing wires a little here because I'm sharing this out loud with anyone paying attention. Normally, when I have this conversation, there's only one pronoun, you, and the you is my feet. I suppose there's another I. I'm in conversation with you, my feet. And the conversation usually plays out for a few seconds, enough that it interrupts my racing thoughts and all the things I'm doing. And there's a second piece to it. It's kind of drawing on the second example I gave in the running article. And I'll have to double check what I called it, but something like chunks of cadence. So the interrupt is to really ground myself in something tactical. In the running case, it was my cadence. In this case, it's purely dialogue with my feet, literally grounding myself to whatever my feet are doing. And by the way, racing thoughts when I go to bed at night and I lie down, what are my feet doing? Well, we have a different conversation then. Their toes are pointing to the ceiling. What else can I feel? And just sensing into my feet. And connected to that, what else am I doing in this moment? So in dialogue with my feet, I check in on how they're doing and how I'm doing. What am I doing in this moment? In this moment, I happen to be walking to the metro station to go to my chiropractor. How am I doing with that? I'm doing pretty good. I think I'm on time. It's a fairly mild day. Hands are a bit chilly. I'll put my mittens back on in a moment. But pretty nice day. And feeling good about what I'm doing right now. And that is my pattern interrupt. I pause, notice that my mind is not putting energy into the thing I'm endeavoring to do. Enter into conversation with my feet, direct conversation, wherever it goes. It sometimes goes very funny places. And I ask myself, or sometimes my feet actually ask me, how I'm doing in the thing I'm doing right now. And I bring it back to that thing. And amazingly, that thing has a way of getting done.